Why haven't you ever mentioned her? I blurt out before the question even forms in my mind. Because the sight of my husband, Michael, slipping crisp bills into the delicate hand of a woman who is not my sister has seared itself into my memory. It was supposed to be a quiet Saturday afternoon. I was folding laundry in our sunlit living room, the scent of lavender detergent lingering in the air, when I glanced up and saw him. My heart seized in my chest. She stood at the edge of the window's slanted light, tall, with chestnut hair cascading over a tailored blazer, and Michael, his tailored shirt sleeves rolled up, leaned toward her with an intensity I'd never seen. He pressed a stack of 50s into her palm, their fingers brushing. She tucked the money into her blouse pocket, her eyes flicking to his with gratitude I had never once felt toward me. I dropped the basket. Socks spilled across the hardwood. He froze, his expression flickering, from surprise to panic to guilt and a heartbeat. "Sarah, this isn't what it looks like," he stammered. But I'd already torn across the rug and into the sunlight that framed them. "Really?" I gasped, voice trembling. "Because it looks like you're giving her money. Cash, not our joint account. Who is she?" Her cheeks flushed. She half-stepped away. Michael reached out. "Jess, please." "Jess!" I echoed sharply. "She's not my sister." He pressed his lips together, eyes darting to the door of our bedroom. I realized I'd been wearing my flannel pajamas and robe, hair in a messy bun, completely unprepared for betrayal. I can explain, but I refused to let him. I grabbed the cash still clutched in her hand. "What is this?" "A loan. A hush payment. A secret child's allowance." I unfolded a 50, the crisp paper smooth beneath my fingers. "How long have you been doing this behind my back?" Michael's jaw clenched. He glanced at her, this woman who wasn't me, and back at me. "I love you," he began, voice urgent. "But there are things you don't understand." I laughed, a bitter, raw sound. "Like what?" "That you're living a double life." She swallowed, her gaze meeting mine. "I'm Dina Walker," she said, voice soft but firm. I'm an independent contractor for Michael's firm. He's been helping me financially through a rough patch." "A rough patch?" I asked, disbelief and fury colliding. "A rough patch that involves thousands in cash. No paperwork. No IRS forms. No bank transfers." Michael ran a hand through his hair. "Jess, it's complicated. She's family, sort of. Our mothers. We're best friends. I promised her a loan years ago, and I never formalized it. I'm simply giving it back." I stared at him, incredulous. "Family, sort of? Why not talk to me? Why hide a loan?" Dina's shoulders slumped. "He's been sending me money since my divorce. I didn't want to burden you both." "A burden?" I interrupted, my voice shaky. "My husband sends you secret cash, so you won't burden him? Do you realize what this looks like?" Dina glanced at Michael, uncertain. I turned back to him. "Is she telling the truth?" He inhaled sharply. "Yes, mostly. I did loan her money. But I overdid it. I'm trying to catch up." My vision blurred. "How much?" I whispered. He hesitated. "Over 20,000. 20,000. The number hovered between us, a chasm I could not cross. I sank to the edge of the sofa, the wooden frame digging into my hips. 20,000 cash. He knelt in front of me. "I'm sorry I hid it. I didn't want you to think I was irresponsible." I looked at him, my partner, the father of my children, the man I trusted, and felt a fissure open where my heart lived. "Irresponsible? You think I'd rather you spend it on me. our family then. Help a friend? Why not put it on the joint credit card? Show me the statements. Transparency. Michael, that's what I want. He nodded, eyes brimming. I know. I was ashamed. I thought I was doing the right thing. I exhaled, the air trembling with rage and relief and grief all at once. You have 3 days to give me full documentation, bank records, loan agreements, repayment plans, everything. If I don't have it, I'll have to take other steps. My voice cracked. I'm not a fool. Dina nodded, tears in her eyes. I'll help however I can. Michael's face crumpled. I'll get it. I promise. She slipped away, shoulders hunched, leaving me and him in the hush that fell like a shroud. I rose, crossing to the window to let the late afternoon light wash over me. Behind me, he remained kneeling, watching. I turned. You need to prove you're trustworthy, I said softly, because right now all I see is a stranger. He rose slowly. Guilt and determination warred on his. The next morning, the sun felt colder than usual as I slid into my clothes, the fabric rough against my skin. I had left a terse voicemail for Michael. Please send me the loan documentation by 5 p.m. today. If I don't have it, I'll assume you've been misappropriating family funds and will pursue legal action. I didn't wait for his reply. Instead, I set out to arm myself with information. My first stop was the courthouse, where I pulled public records for Amara Expeditions, the agency on the luggage sticker he tried to pass off as company travel. It turned out Amara had no corporate retreats, just high-priced private tours. I took notes and photographed pages from their brochure that clearly advertised leisure, not work. Next, I visited our local bank branch, where I'd opened a discreet, emergency-only savings account under my maiden name months ago. It was nearly empty, just enough to cover a month's rent on my own apartment. I withdrew cash to pay a retainer to an attorney I'd researched the night before, then sat in my car and called her. Ms. Lane, the voice was crisp, professional. I'm Rachel Spencer. I need to consult on a possible spousal fraud matter. I briefly outlined the situation. Secret cash transfers, burner phone, conflicting story about loans. Rachel's tone remained calm. Bring me everything you have, texts, receipts, photos. We'll discuss next steps. I scheduled a meeting for that afternoon. I spent the drive back gathering every piece of evidence I could find at home, the original hotel, receipts, the burner phone, the cryptic Sphinx emails. I printed our joint bank statements for the past year, highlighting every ATM withdrawal he couldn't explain. I photographed the travel confirmations from my shared email account. By the time I walked through our front door, I carried a bulging folder of proof, my lifeline in the chaos of betrayal. Michael was already home, pacing the living room, the tension in his shoulders a living thing. He looked up as I entered, guilt and fatigue painting his features. He opened his mouth to speak, but I raised a hand. Don't. I dropped the folder on the coffee table and flipped it open. I have everything here. You have until our meeting with Rachel at 3 p.m. to explain it all. My voice was steady, too steady. And if your explanation doesn't hold water, I'll pursue full legal action, marital fraud, dissipation of assets, and more. I closed the folder with finality. Is that clear? He nodded, swallowing. Yes. At Rachel's office, the walls were lined with law degrees and framed photos of courtroom victories. She motioned for me to sit and spent 2 hours reviewing every page I'd brought. When she finally leaned back, she said, "This is serious. He's been hiding loans that appear Personal, no promissory note, no collateral, no clear repayment schedule. That opens the door to an argument for dissipation of marital assets. I draft a demand letter for him to produce all loan documents, and if he fails, we file for temporary orders, your exclusive use of the marital home, court-supervised accounting, and potential freeze on his accounts. I nodded, my stomach churning but my resolve firm. I expected that. Can you send the letter today? Consider it done, Rachel replied. And Sarah, prepare for a counterattack. He may claim you're paranoid or financially irresponsible. Keep focused on the facts. I exhaled, grateful for her straightforward competence. Thank you. That afternoon, back at home, Michael met me at the door with a sheaf of papers. Here, he said, thrusting them forward. Loan agreement, signed by both of us. He handed me a single-page, typed document dated 6 months ago, bearing both our signatures and an unnotarized clause promising repayment upon mutual agreement. I frowned, leafing through the flimsy contract. This, I asked. It doesn't cover the bank, receipts, the burner phone expenses, the hotel bills. It says nothing about Morocco or Istanbul. Trips. He sighed. It's all I have. He ran a hand through his hair. I didn't want to drag you into it. I thought I could handle it. I set the papers down. This document doesn't match the amounts you dispersed. And it doesn't. Explain why you arrange team retreats at luxury resorts when you have a solid benefits package at work. Something still missing. He looked at me with desperation. What do you want? I met his eyes, holding his gaze. I want the truth. Every penny, every message. Full disclosure now. That evening, I sat on the couch with the burner phone in one hand and our home phone extension in the other. I'd found a private investigator's card in my sister's drawer months ago. She'd used one for her own messy divorce. I called him. This is Sarah Lane. I need surveillance on my husband's financial and travel activities. Can you start immediately? The PI's voice was quiet but confident. I'll have initial findings by tomorrow morning. I hung up, the weight of my decisions settling like stones in my stomach. Tomorrow would bring confirmation, perhaps photos of him with Dina in Marrakesh, maybe credit card footage of spa visits in Istanbul. The truth would come out. The next day, I woke to a voicemail from the PI. Ms. Lane, I have footage in BankLink. Analysis to share. Let me know when you can review. I texted back. At noon in your office. Then I sat at my desk, staring at the clock until the meeting. At 12:05, I hurried to the PI's nondescript office. He showed me GPS tracking maps, Michael's. Phone pinged in Marrakesh from March 5th to 8th, in Dubai from April 10th to 12th, in Cairo from May 20 to 22. He presented video stills. Michael and Dina laughing over coffee in a tea house. Michael slipping cash into her purse behind a parked rental motorbike. The evidence was incontrovertible. The affair was global, and so was the financial support. I felt my chest tighten, then burn with betrayal's cold fire. The PI printed the images, handed them to me, and said, "This will hold up in court, but be prepared. Once you use these, there's no turning back." I thanked him, paid his fee from my emergency fund, and drove home with the images burning. Holster my bag. I walked in to find Michael waiting in the kitchen, the single battered contract on the table. I placed the PI's prints beside his flimsy document. "This," I said, voice shaking, "is the truth. And I'm done playing catch-up." He closed his eyes, tears slipping. "I'm sorry." I turned away. "The lawyers will contact you." I'm filing for separation. He whispered, "You'll regret this." I did not look back. I grabbed my bag and walked out the door again, the prints and contract clutched in my hand. For the first time, I felt powerless, replaced by purpose. I would reclaim my life on the terms of the truth I unearthed, not the lies he spun. That night, I checked into a small rental apartment, a place just big enough for me and a few boxes. My furniture remained in storage. I wanted space and minimalism to start over. I arranged the forensic prints on the kitchen table under the soft glow of the overhead light, each image a testament to survival. I texted Rachel, "I've retained a PI, ready to file." She replied, "Meet at 9 a.m. tomorrow to draft." I exhaled, the next day's steps crystallizing. Before bed, I sat on the balcony, looking at city lights. I felt the first flicker of freedom, strange, tender and mine. Betrayal had hollowed me out, but now evidence filled the void with proof of my worth, that I deserved honesty, equality, and respect. In the quiet of night, I whispered to the stars, "This is where I begin again." And with that vow, I closed my eyes, ready for the fight ahead, knowing that the truth, once uncovered, was an unwavering ally. Can I ever look at the night sky the same way again? I whisper into the dark as I lie on the futon in my new apartment, the city lights flickering through the window like distant stars. It's been nearly 3 months since I gathered my evidence, filed for separation, and began this journey of piecing my life back together. Tonight, the silence of my own space feels both consoling and cavernous, an echo chamber for the dreams I once shared with Michael and the ones I'm now forging alone. The day began with a final meeting at Rachel's office. Across from her mahogany desk, I signed the divorce settlement, custody of our daughter, Claire, weekends and split holidays, division of savings and assets, and a permanent restraining order against any hidden finances or secret travel. Rachel labeled the last clause non-dissipation covenant, and we all shared a brief, relieved smile. No more burner phones, no more hidden accounts. Just clean lines, legal closure. Outside, I felt the September sun warm my shoulders as I exited her building. My steps were lighter than they've been in months. In my purse, I carry the sealed divorce decree, a tangible testament to survival. On my phone, an alert. Team check-in, schedule safe harbor. Chat. I stared at it, then deleted it. My partnership with Michael had ended, but I realized my journey towards self-reliance was only beginning. I spent the afternoon with Claire at the park, pushing her on the swings until she giggled so hard. She flopped sideways, legs akimbo. The sky blazed in autumn gold, and for the first time in a long time, I noticed the details, the crisp scent of fallen leaves, the distant bark of a dog, the way sunlight wove through her curls. I packed her picnic lunch, turkey sandwiches and apple slices, and we sat on a patchwork blanket, talking about school and her new teacher, Mrs. Ramirez, whom she adored. I realized that through all the chaos, my daughter remained my greatest love and my greatest reason to rebuild. Later, I returned to the apartment and tackled my vision board, sketches of my own business, a small wellness studio offering yoga and mindfulness workshops for women recovering from life changes. I'd been dreaming this since the separation, and now I finally felt the courage to plan. I printed out brochures for local Pilates studios, bookmarked small business seminars, and scribbled market research, coffee with local owners on sticky notes. That evening, I navigated to the online portal for our community center and applied to teach a Reclaim Your Power workshop. 4 sessions on healing from betrayal, building self-esteem, and financial independence. I hesitated before hitting submit, recalling my old fear of stepping into the spotlight, but the memory of that first betrayal fueled me. I clicked send. A confirmation email popped up moments later. Thank you for your proposal. We'll be in touch. I exhaled, a mix of terror and exhilaration pulsing through me. Then, my phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Can we meet tomorrow at the school? I promise, just to talk about Claire. I stared at the screen. For nearly a year, our conversations had revolved around evidence, attorneys, and custody arrangements. But this text felt different, a simple parental request. My heart skipped. Was this a sign he'd finally embraced co-parenting with respect? Or a last attempt to draw me back in? I closed my eyes and tapped out a reply. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Let's keep it focused on Claire. I felt a twinge of anticipation, cautious, like approaching a fragile bird, but hopeful that perhaps we could end this chapter on a genuinely cooperative note. The next afternoon, I arrived at Maplewood Elementary with Claire in tow. She dashed off to her classroom as the dismissal bell rang, backpack bouncing. I waited by the entrance, arms folded against my cardigan. Michael emerged, looking tall and composed in a crisp navy sport coat. He nodded politely. I offered a small smile. Hi, he said, voice warm but subdued. Thank you for meeting me. Of course, I replied, brushing a strand of hair from my face. How is she? He sighed with relief. She's settled, but she asked when Dad would pick her up next. I want to coordinate the holiday schedule now, so she has something to look forward to. That was it. No tears, no recriminations, just the practical logistics of co-parenting. We pulled up our phones and reviewed the calendar. Halloween with me, Thanksgiving split, winter break. Alternating. Each slot we filled felt like reclaiming peace, proof that 2 people could parent separately yet stand united for their child. Before we parted, Michael hesitated. I'm sorry, Sarah, for everything. I hope you're doing well. I met his gaze. I'm proud of how far I've come, I said honestly, and I want the same for you, to be a good father. He nodded, gratitude shining in his eyes. Thank you. We parted with a brief hug, awkward but sincere, 2 adults charting a new relationship built on mutual respect rather than marital bonds. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table, nursing a cup of chamomile tea, the scent soothing my mind. My phone chimed, notification from the community center. They accepted my workshop proposal. Wednesday evenings, 6 to 8 p.m., starting next month. I smiled, pulsing with anticipation. Healing others would be my ultimate reclaiming of power. I cross-checked my vision board. Wellness studio plus community workshop plus a future where betrayal isn't a prison, but a catalyst for growth. The pieces lined up, each decision a step toward the woman I wanted to be. As the weekend approached, I sent out invitations to close friends for my housewarming and healing gathering, an intimate Sunday brunch to celebrate my new apartment, my new chapters. I planned menu, quiche, fresh berries, mimosas, and a gratitude jar where each guest would write and share a moment of triumph from the past year. On Sunday morning, sunlight streamed through my living room windows as my friends arrived. Lena with her ever-supportive grin, Carla the financial planner with a bottle of bubbly to toast. New beginnings, Maya from the trauma group who'd become like a sister, and several colleagues from the hospital pharmacy where I'd resumed consulting part-time. Our apartment buzzed with warmth, Peppermint candles flickered, jazz played softly, and a table groaned. Under the weight of my brunch spread, we gathered in the living room, glasses raised. To Sarah, Lena began, for showing us how to rise from the ashes. Here's to new beginnings, Carla added. And no more secrets. Maya held up the gratitude jar. Let's fill this, she said, passing out slips of paper. One by one, we wrote moments that had felt impossible and overcame them, leaving a lie behind, finding my voice, choosing myself. We read them aloud, laughter and tears mingling. In that circle, I realized I'd found my community, a tapestry woven from threads of tragedy, healing, and unwavering support. I felt grounded in the knowledge that life's hardest betrayals could lead to the richest transformations. That night, after my friends departed and the apartment settled into contented quiet, I stood by, the window overlooking the city skyline. The lights shimmered like distant promises. In my hand, I held the gratitude jar, now full. I unlocked my phone and opened the weather app. Sunny. 72 degrees Fahrenheit tomorrow, a perfect day for new adventures. I whispered into the darkness, this is just the beginning. And I meant it, not the end of my story, but the first page of a life rebuilt on honesty, self-love, and the knowledge that I am the hero of my own story, no longer defined by his betrayal, but by my fierce, unbreakable rise.